Okay, so our game is almost finished. We just need to add some final touches to the game. So what we're going to do in this video is that we're going to randomize the value so that we have a random number of enemies in the scene, and we also want a random countdown number. So every time we play the game again, the countdown number will be different. So we'll have a random number of seconds left. Okay, so to do this, let's go to the scripts and let's go to our countdown script, and we want to make a random number out of countdown number. So now it's equal to 20 by default, so let's delete that. So now countdown number is equal to 0 by default, and in the start method, the first thing that we're going to do is to create a random number for the countdown number. So we're going to say int, or no, we don't have to say int, we just need to say countdown number equals to random dot range, and in the parentheses just put the minimum and the maximum values for the random number. So for the minimum value, let's put in a 15, and for the maximum value 26. And why do I put here 26? Because I want to go from 15 to 25, because this value is excluded from this random dot range when we're making a random number out of an integer. If we're making the random number out of a float, then it doesn't matter. But if we are making a random number out of an integer, this number is excluded. So this number, it doesn't count. So it's going from 15 to 25. And if I want to go from 15 to 26, then here I would have to put a 27. So you get the idea. Okay, now let's go to our enemy spawner and let's take a look at the number of enemies. It's set to 20. We're going to delete this, and at the start of the game we're going to say that the number of enemies, so the number of enemies is equal to random dot range, and inside here we're going to put the number of enemies that will go maybe from 13 or from 12 to 20 maybe. So 21 in here. So the enemies will go from 12 to 20. I'm just making this up. You can put whatever number you prefer in here. And now the only thing that I want to do is that I want to check if our player collides with the boundaries. So let's go back to the Unity editor. Let's hit play. And now you can see that there's a random number of everything. But if our player collides with there are no walls in our game. So if our player can go off the screen perfectly, and we can lose track of our player. So I wanted to make it so when the player collides with the wall, it gets back to the center of the screen. So how do we do this? Okay, so to do this, let's go back to the player script. So here we are actually listening for collisions with enemies, but let's do a condition so that we listen to collisions with walls. So in here we're gonna type in else if. So else if collision dot compare tag, and inside these parentheses we're gonna open quotes, and we're gonna put the name of the tag that we're going to create later. So if we collide with a collider of an object that has the tag wall, then what we want to do is that we want to reposition the player. So transform dot position is equal to new vector 2. So new vector 2, and then in here we're going to put 0, 0, because we want to reposition our player at the center of the scene. Alright, so now that we have this done, we need to actually make the walls. Okay, so to make the walls, let's go back to the Unity Inspector, and Unity, I always say Unity Inspector, but it's Unity Editor. Okay, this is the inspector, and this whole thing is the Unity Editor. Alright, so to make this happen, we need to create our wall. So right click here in the hierarchy, we're going to create an empty object, and we're going to call this wall in the inspector. Let's reposition, so let's reset the transform of this wall. Okay, so now you can double click on the wall to see where it is here. So we have it here is our wall. So we're going to add a component to our wall. Let's add a box collider to the component, and we're going to make sure that the collider is set to trigger. And you might ask why to trigger. Well, because our player is listening to collisions that have triggers. That's why we have defined the on trigger enter because we're listening to colliders that have the trigger checked. Okay, because if you don't check this, then it's not going to work. All right, so now that we have attached the box collider 2D, we can select our wall, hit W, and then move our object, and you can see that it has a collider. So we want to make this collider the length of the boundaries of the camera. So to do this, we can go here where it says size, and we can play with the X component and the Y component. So let's play with the Y component in this case to make it like this, so it fits nicely over here. And then let's select the wall and hit Ctrl D to copy it. Let's move the other wall to the left. And you might think, oh, where is the other wall? It has disappeared, but it hasn't disappeared. If you select it, it's over here. So they are over here. It's just that if you click on any other part, they disappear. Okay, so now that we have that, we can just Ctrl D this wall. And now we have it over here. So now what we want to do with this wall is modify it by the other way around. We want to change the X component of the wall, and the Y component, let's set it to 1, and let's change it around here. So we make it like this. That's good. And then let's hit Ctrl D and let's move it down. Let's move the fourth wall down. Okay, so it fits nicely. All right, so now we have our 4 walls. But now we need to add a tag to our walls, because if you select any of our walls and you see here in the inspector it says tag untagged, well, we need to make sure that they have the tag wall. So let's select this untagged, let's select add tag. We have our enemy tag, let's click the plus and let's type in wall and hit save. Now let's select all of the walls. So to select all of the walls, you can select the first one, hold shift, select the last one to select every single one of them. And now go here to the tags and select the wall tag. So now every single wall has the wall tag. So now if we save the game, I'm gonna make this window bigger and we hit play. And we just try to go and play our game. If we go and hit a wall, we will get repositioned to the center. And that's going to be it for this tutorial series. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial series, and I'll see you in the next video.